Good day, I'm Lovette Williams and welcome to Inside the African Communities. Here with me today is Dr. David Malinda, President for the African Community Organization of South Australia. Hello, Dr. Malinda, how are you?
Hello, good, thank you.
Yeah, what could you tell us about yourself today?
Oh, I can tell you a little bit of myself because I don't have much time, but I'll just give you a little myself. I was born in a peasant family in Kenya some years back, and unfortunately my family were not educated, and but they pushed me to get educated, but we didn't have enough money to educate myself. So luckily we had a big farm with near a running river. So that was where I was getting my fees. I was growing vegetables to sell to pay for my fees. That's how I educated myself and matriculated, and then got a scholarship. Some years back, I went to former Soviet Union and started State University of Moscow. Then I ended up in Ukraine 5 years and went back to Kenya as an engineer. I came back here to do postgraduate studies, but changed my discipline to science, mainly soil science, majoring in soil physics and soil mechanics. And eventually I got a job here as a scientist. I was in charge of soil physics laboratory, Northfield Research Laboratory at one stage. Then worked as a scientist, as senior scientist, for 21 years in the South Australia government, retired, went overseas briefly, came back, started writing my book. I found writing my book was not every day's cup of tea, so started thinking, now what am I going to do? So I changed. I said, well, I have to do something. I can't sit home doing nothing. So I didn't want to go back to research. So I started teaching, and then of course involved in community work as the president of the African Community Organization, which is very demanding. And then of course during those times I was appointed Australian Day Ambassador for South Australia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I've been serving now since 2008. During Australian Day, I'm sent to different districts and to officiate and give some ceremonies and citizenships and all that kind of thing. So that keeps me busy sometimes. And then, of course, I do quite a lot of application for funding for communities, not only ACOSA, but other communities which get in touch with us, because I'm used to writing submissions for many years. I think probably that's basically it. And I just finished my manuscript, my autobiography, sent to my daughter for editing. It came up quite massacred. She was ruthless, but that was good. And then got time to look at it and corrected all that. Now I'm waiting for some material that I need permission to put in and then publish my book. So that is, in short, myself.
That is a great short summary of yourself, and
yes.
I really like the fact that you have accomplished so much, and that was actually my next question. Tell me about your accomplishment, but you really sum it up.
In actual fact, when I was a scientist, I was very, very lucky indeed, because I was going overseas for many meetings, about 9 countries in total over those years. All this Europe, Asia, Russia, America, I've been there, and I've been quite lucky. But what I miss now is my scientific community, but I have my community to service.
Yeah, which is what I want to get to about the community, African Community Organization of South Australia. Tell me a little bit about the foundation of it, and
Yes.
also what have they been doing so far.
Yes, I've heard a little bit of what has been said, but unfortunately, no one wants to say the truth, and I'm going to tell you the absolute truth of the African communities in South Australia. African Community Organization South Australia is the original umbrella organization for the Africans in South Australia. And a little way back, I think 2000 or something like that, some two people jumped off to start what is called ACOSA. And so ACOSA was started by two people. They recruited another person from Hawaii or somewhere. So ACOSA ran for a year and then sank. So the same group jumped the ship. They started what is now called African Community Council. At that time, when it was started, I was in Argentina, Buenos Aires. And our Secretary General, who is now the Sudanese ambassador for Kenya, Mariano, he was our secretary at that time. He rings me when I was in Argentina. He said, you know what, another organization, umbrella organization has been set. And it was set, actually, a group went to the hills for picnic and then wrote all the names, and that's how it started. African Community Council started. So I said to Mariano, that's fine. Australia is a free country. So long as you are not breaking the law, you can start anything that you want. That was my advice to Mariano. And so we did try to ask them to come on board and discuss whether there are any issues that were not clear to them. And at one stage, a federal government minister asked the same question, and that organization did not answer that question because they didn't know why they started another new organization. But we have tried to work together as much as we can because we have to service our community, and we can't afford to be seen to be divided, because then we are not going to do justice to our community. Yes.
Yeah. How did that make you feel as the founder of an organization that you started, the purpose to bring the community, African community together, and while you were away, there was a split, and there's not a clear explanation as to why that happened?
Until today, we have never had a clear explanation. But we focus ourselves, our main objective is to make sure that we unite the Africans. We make sure that we work for them. We make sure that if it's education, we help. If it is whatever it is, we help. Even the organization, the little country organizations, associations, which are not members of ACOSA as such, when they come to us for to write application for funding, we do it for free. And that's how they come. We don't solicit anybody. So what we do is we wait for them to see what we are doing. Now, coming to the achievements, we are now in a process of applying for funding to employ somebody who can write, who can document the achievement of ACOSA, which is many. It is a kind of literature that we want to complete in the next 1 year or so, and supply copies to school libraries so they can see what a community can do. We have accumulated quite a lot of resources that can be used. Some of the resources, marquees for people, if you have got a wedding or you have got functions, we have got new marquees, we have got PI systems, we have got trailers, we have, name what, we have got quite a list of 18 things that are different communities can use. And that has come as a result of unit within ACOSA. And of course, within the executive of ACOSA has been quite diverse from the beginning. From East Africa, Northern Africa, Western Africa, Southern Africa, nearly everywhere we have drawn the executive. Currently we have executive members from Sudan, Eritrea, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Congo, within the executive board, that is.
I just want to come back to what you said earlier when you said, when I asked how you felt about the community going apart, but it also drew to my attention, what I got was, it's okay to have a separate community, but as long as they're working together to meet the community needs, that is acceptable.
Correct.
But do you think, what can you tell me, how do you think that people, outsiders out of the African community, how do they feel seeing a two separate group, but how do they know that you two work together very closely in that?
Yes, personally I don't think we should be two groups. But again, I now put myself as a parent. Let's me say I'm a parent. If I see some of my children going astray, am I going to kick them out? No. I'm going to keep on talking to them, keep on bringing them to understand what they are doing is not right. Show them the right way, and probably within time, they may come to understand that yes, Dad is saying the correct thing. Let us.
So basically, you're saying that in time that there's a hope one day that the African community will be one again instead of having two separate communities.
Yes, because when you sing unit, when you sing respect, and you keep singing that song, of course, it will sink sometimes.
What can you tell us about their African Australian organization community, and what have they done so far within the community, just to give us a spotlight of some of the things that they've done and how it have impacted and changed the African community for a better?
Well, let me come and talk about the African Community Organization South Australia. We have achieved quite a lot in so far as communities are concerned. We have managed to prevent some deportations from people who were detained in the camps. We have fought for them. They have been released to the community through hard work of ACOSA. We have also helped, for example, if there is a death in a family, we always make sure that we go there, we represent the African Community Organization and support them. Sometimes monetary, if we have the money. Sometimes we work very hard to find money for funeral, and that has been throughout all the time I've been here. And you find that is how the communities at large come to realize what we are doing is a useful thing for the entire community, not for the organization. Yeah, I don't believe in personal gains.
That's good. What can you tell me about some of the challenges that the African community face today in Australia?
You want to know the truth?
I do.
One of them is when the African community come to this country, they come in their own, how can I put it, with their own custom. That means, well, they have got their own respectful custom that they have been brought up in their own country. But when they come here, they find a completely different thing altogether. You see, for example, a family comes here with young children. They are 15 years already, and then, well, the government starts giving each child some money. This is yours. Nobody can touch it, you see. And then that has never been happening in your country or in my country. So they start changing, you see. So the culture starts changing. And that change of culture takes a long time to come to grips with. And that is what causes some conflict within families. And we tend to educate everybody. We normally call family gatherings, family meetings, or community meetings, and talk about all these things and how to try and restore family values and that kind of thing. So that is one. Another one is, of course, work. Without work, people get very bored indeed, and they get stressed. And when you are bored and stressed, it's not a nice thing. Then you get into mischief, you start drinking, you start doing all sorts of things. And we always advocate that is not the way forward. That route should not be followed. If you don't have a job, conduct the community. We work together to see what can be done. And many African members are very educated. And sometimes, of course, when you are educated and you find you can't get a job in your area, the only job you can get is a very low paid job and a job outside your profession, then you don't want to take that job. We say, no, take that job. I always tell my communities that opportunities are missed by many people because opportunity comes dressed in overalls and it looks like hard work, you see. So take the job that you can get. It doesn't matter what job, and now start working very hard to get the job that you are trained or the job that you want. Don't sit and say no.
Yeah. I get what you mean. There was an article written by, I don't know if you heard of SOT magazine, an African magazine.
Yes,
and he was saying about the lack of, actually Australia was not accepting their foreign qualifications, and that was a problem. So yes, it definitely aligns with what you just said. But I just want to go back. You as a president for the African community, you represent us, and you go up and you have close contact with the government in that. What is it that you are doing to kind of help that challenge that we have within our community?
Very good. We speak to very many different ministers quite recently we had two meetings. We had one meeting with Honorable Zoe Bettison, and we explained what we wanted from her department, or her, you see, because she represents one of the multicultural community, and that is very important portfolio. So we explain, now here there are no jobs, and we have got trained people. What can you advise? And we have had quite a very good input from that department, that minister. And not only that, we have spoken to different ministers, and before then to the premiers, that kind of thing. We keep on reminding the governments, and also in writing, that people need, we have got trained people, they need jobs. But sometimes you go up here to for an interview, and the person is thinking, now this person papers are okay, but can he or she do the job? That is in the mind of that person. Then you don't get that job. So we tend to educate the mass that we are capable of doing any job, you see, that we are trained to do. If you are not trained to do a job, any job you can do, because you have got two hands and the head to think. See? So we work with the governments, both with meeting them and in writing, to say education and jobs are the key to our
And what infrastructure have they put in place so far to as a response to what you've put in? What have been some infrastructure that have been set up, or any progress so far in those requests?
Yes, there has been trainings, and we have had some funding for people to train. For example, we have had some funding to have refugees train on micro enterprise, and that, as a few people have gone through that training in the past 5 years, and some of them have started their own little jobs, little businesses, and that is funding from the governments, that they see what we are talking about as useful for our communities. See, but that is not enough. We need. We had an executive board meeting where we intend now to start dialogue with dialogue as let's say, for example, 3 times a year, meeting with different ministers and talk about what actually we need them to do, and then they can tell us what is possible and what is not possible. And to do that, we have decided at least 4 times a year we call community groups and service providers for meeting to hear what the communities want us to do for them and what the communities want the government to do. So we take that message to the government, because not everybody can go to the government. So that is how we are now working, what we are doing. And we have got a plan now, 2015 to 2018, which we have sent to the government, programs that we need. And some of the programs are exactly for young people, for people with mental problems and jobs and all that kind of thing. So we have a comprehensive plan.
Okay, just before I close, I just want to ask, what do you hope for the African community in the future? What are your hopes?
first and foremost, unity. Without unity, there is nothing you can hope for. But if there is unity, everything else is possible. Respect is the other thing. We must respect each other at all cost. We can't afford not to. So unity, respect, and inclusiveness, those are the three in my books that I think are very crucial.
Thank you so much. Would you like to add to this interview?
Well, what I would like to say about this interview, I think is quite a wonderful opportunity to see you all with this wonderful thinking. And I think you should, I don't know, you may have already, but you should start looking for funding to expand what you are doing. Because this is quite a useful tool to educate the public, to educate the government, and also to make our community aware of the challenges that lay ahead. Because some of them don't know, but some know, and they don't know how to address them. But I think you may have already found some funding to expand this program, but I don't know. If not, we can also help.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. David and Melinda, for spending time with us tonight, and it was really good insight on the African community, and good to have you with us tonight.
And thank you for having me, and thank you for the whole group. I think I'm very pleased to see this, and I'll report this to my executive board. And this will be Tuesday.